Everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm Joe Myers. Today, the topic is going to be self-hypnosis. Uh, we will have little pauses throughout, so during that time, please feel free. If you go to the bottom of the screen, uh, you're more than welcome to raise your hand there if you have any questions or comments. You're also welcome to type any question or comment into the chat between David and I. We will see that. Um, that should be most of the important information for
Yep.
now. So, without any further ado, my good friend David Barron.
Thank you very much. What I want to give you a couple things today. What I want to talk about in the main part of this is about self-hypnosis, particularly ways of doing it yourself. But since many of us are hypnotists here, how to teach the people we work with to do self-hypnosis. So we're going to get to that. Keep in mind, this is recorded and I try and upload it to YouTube within a couple days. There will be information in those who are watching in the comments below. And if you want to be a regular here, send me an email and I will put you at least on the Zoom invite list. So I'll send that out. Um, let's see. Oh, yeah, what I wanted to cover today, many of you are familiar, I've mentioned often Chase Hughes, and I'm deeply respectful of the guy, and I'm glad that he's alive because he's doing things I'm completely incapable of doing. So he has my admiration. Um, and in fact, this is his complete work of what's called the Behavioral Operations Manual, and it is, needless to say, a huge opus filled with insight. Uh, what he talks about is how the human brain responds to certain things. He's got what's called the uh, six axis model of influence. The theory behind it, there are uh, six things that people respond to that make them want to follow you, and they are openness. They start with focus, openness, connection, then compliance, suggestibility, and expectancy. Now, you can find all of these in their definitions. You just type in Chase Hughes six-axis model. He'll give you a full definition of those in a downloadable free PDF. But I was thinking, and for those of you who've studied this, if you have only three of those six things in control, if people are experiencing any three of those, they are going to be influenced. He uses the example of the Milgram experiment, where only focus, compliance, and expectancy were a part of it. And the Milgram experiments got people to believe they were killing somebody in less than 20 minutes. So that's the effectiveness of it. So if you do your homework and read about the six-axis model, what I decided to do is, how could I frame a pre-talk that has as many of those in there as possible, keeping in mind you only need three of them. And what I got was pretty good. In fact, I'm pasting it. Let me see. Okay, I'm pasting it in the. Let's see. There we go. I'm pasting it in the chat. So what I'd recommend you do is copy and paste it to a document in the chat. What it goes in, I'm just going to read it, and it covers 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 6 requirements there. So it goes like this. If someone's sitting down, it's a pre-talk to hypnotize, I tell them, some people feel a little nervous going into hypnosis. That's very normal. It is a novel situation. You don't know what to expect. So you're really focused. There you cover the aspect of focus. You have a goal. You want to, say in this case, quit smoking. You know that you should have control of that, but you don't. It's like there's a line in the sand in front of you, and you know that on the other side of that line, you will be completely free from smoking. But you don't know how to step over the line. Now we're creating a sense of expectancy. All you have to do is follow instructions. So I am asking them to comply. I want their compliance. All I do is tell you what to focus on and how to focus on it. So the communication we have is very important. Imagine, and this will be familiar to some of you, imagine this communication is like a cord of light that connects us. And that connection that we have glows with the warmth of that connection. So now we're creating a connection. When I say follow instructions, there's an ideal that I want you to aspire to. That is, when I give you an instruction, you follow it as quickly as possible without hesitation. So now I'm talking about compliance again. And by asking the question, do you think you can do that? You're creating a sense of expectancy. So I've used it. It works very well, and it's very short and brief. And so you guys are absolutely welcome to steal it from me. Again, I attribute all of this to Chase Hughes and just me borrowing it and modifying it as you see fit. So anyone have any questions or observations? Again, just copy and paste it and go from there. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk today about self-hypnosis. And let's divide that into 2 parts. The first part is how to do it. And the second part is how to tell someone else how to, if you're hypnotizing somebody, how to encourage and get people to do it regularly. The whole idea of self-hypnosis is just to get control of the inner mind and the internal part of the mind. So if you've studied any hypnosis yourself, the very simplest way to do it is to simply do the process on yourself. And what that means is if you're familiar with a progressive relaxation, it's just an easy process. I would suggest you, especially if you want to go to sleep at night, start with a progressive relaxation with the understanding you may not get through. And that's fine because you're there to go to sleep. And you start just as it progressive relaxation induction does. You start by relaxing the forehead, and then you go over every muscle, very intentionally focusing on the muscles and relaxing them as much as possible. And then going down to the feet and back up again if you can. Now, there's a point when you do this, your mind is going to be very, very still. And then you can just give whatever instructions that you need. You'll be noticing that you is now within a very still body. In fact, you may not even notice your body at all. And there you give your instructions. And it could be anything from going to sleep, from waking up confident, from planning your day. You just do whatever is going to give you most benefit while you're doing that. But keep in mind, if you go to sleep, that's fine. You go to sleep. You're doing it at night. If you know any other induction, like an eye lock induction, by all means, you know how it works when you're doing it on someone else. Just do it on yourself and get the same results. It will work just as well. The difference between self-hypnosis and hypnosis is When someone is guiding you through hypnosis on this end, they are driving the bus entirely. Self-hypnosis, you're both the passenger and the driver. So you have to have some quality of awareness in order to drive the bus and experience it as you're saying at the same time. What I recommend some people do, and this works with some practice, is you start the self-hypnosis by setting in your mind an outcome, an objective that you want to achieve, and you imagine it like a package. And then when you go into that state, you just assume, you trust yourself that if your mind wanders, that's going to be the part where you hand that message over to the subconscious mind. And you may just go completely asleep. Your mind may wander. It sometimes happens very naturally. And so that's one process as well. A particular process that I have used and I've taught people, which I really personally like, is one in which you imagine, if you're not going to sleep at night with this, if you're doing it in a comfortable position or a chair, you get into the comfortable internal state and you imagine a chair in front of you and you see yourself in front of that chair, in that chair. And at that point, you are two people. You are the hypnotist giving the instructions, and then as you give the instructions, you switch to the subject receiving it and experiencing it. And if you go back and forth like that, what happens is that your ability to hold out that information, that plus, or what is it, 7 plus or minus 2, is that right? Bits of information gets completely overwhelmed, and you find yourself sort of in your own mind staring off into space, wondering what the hell's going on. And but if you practice this enough, you can feel yourself give the instruction and then feel yourself experience the instruction. And when it's all done, you just let it go, and you can do a wake up, or you can say, you can go to sleep, whatever is appropriate for the situation right there. That's one of my favorite self-hypnosis processes. And I do something like this pretty regularly. At this point, I'm sure a lot of people have some personal experiences with this. Some people have some questions. So if anyone would raise their hand, I'd love to hear either the question you have or your personal experience.
Not
Yes.
everyone all at once. Come on.
Jeremy.
Graham just unmuted, so.
Oh, Jeremy first, please. He got his hand up first.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Jeremy, unmute yourself and let's talk.
Yeah, I was curious about pacing and leading, like that tactic in self-hypnosis. Have you experimented with that? Something I do is I'll record myself, like depending on what I want to do. Like I'll put maybe some music behind it, and then I'll do like 3 pacing statements and then a leading statement, a belief statement that I want to incorporate and integrate into my psyche. And then I'll just have it like run for like 15 minutes or like, between 5 and 15 minutes, kind of like just repeating that. I don't know if any of y'all have experienced anything like that or experimented.
My personal experience with that is, if you have the technology and the patience to do that, that is one of the very best ways to do it. Simply because you've created the bus driver, okay? And all you have to do is follow the instructions from that point forward. My mentor, Jeff Stevens, did this regularly with himself. He would put it on a cassette tape, and he would not label them, and he'd have them stored in a box. He wouldn't even know what he's pulling out, okay? And so he told me of this one day that he pulled out a tape and did a self-hypnosis. What he didn't know is he pulled out the tape that suggested to him, when you wake up, for 15 minutes, you will not know who you are or where you're at. And the result was he wandered around the house for 15 minutes, just like in the most confused state. And of course, it wear off because that was part of the hypnotic instructions. And he took that tape and said, "Okay, I'm not going to do that again." That was very useful to experiment. But he had a whole compiling of tapes that were there to just sort of program his own mind, and he didn't care what order he got them in. I think that is a really good way of doing it. Again, you have to have the time, you have to have the technology to do it, but most importantly, you've got to commit yourself to do the hypnosis. So, yeah, that's a perfect one. Thank you, Jeremy.
Of course. Thank you.
Graham.
Yeah, I was going to say one of my favorite ways of doing it is because predominantly a visual type person is to do a lot of visualizations. And as a insurance policy, when I give myself the safety pre-talk, I'm going to have 20 minutes in self-hypnosis. If something happens, I'll deal with it. And also including there says I'll be visualizing myself doing this, that, and the other, whatever it is that I want to achieve, and then go through the relaxation process, and then have a really great step deeper where I'm going down into this really nice country type garden as a way of getting into the scene. And then as I'm in there, then I start using the imagination. So I'm actually, say, for example, I want to perfect a golf swing. I'm there in the garden, swinging the golf club and seeing it perfect in every way. And then once I've ran through that a few times, then I just have a wander about the garden, just enjoying the scene while what I've been visualizing seeps into the inner mind. And then I get the little tap on the shoulder sort of thing, because I give myself that statement, say I'm going to be in self-hypnosis for however long, and then say, right, I'm done, and then picture myself going back up the stairs and back into the real world as part of the emergence.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, and I think we remember Alex quoted a line from Talking Heads. And you find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, "How did I get here?" Yes, that's it.
I imagine myself there.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe not the wife.
That describes the experience perfectly. Yes. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. What I want to do now, let's switch this and talk about how to instruct this to a client if you're working with it. And I want to remind you what a meditation teacher once explained to me, which was, you have all these different types of meditation, and so you're asking the meditation teacher, "What meditation should I do?" And he said, "The only meditation you should do is the one you do every day." So it's not so important that they have an ideal process. It's important that they just practice on a daily basis. And emphasize that with your client, which is, if you can listen to an audio recording and that will be fine and that will be enough. But make a practice of closing your eyes and get internally inside yourself, create a sense of safety, a sense of awareness, and practice it. And ideally have some intent. You don't have to have an intent, but experience this state of internal awareness. Once you get that agreement that they're going to do it, then you can teach them the processes. And the process can be as simple as everything I've described here. But if you're working with them in hypnosis, a great process that they can use is very simply, you have them in this state of hypnosis when they're aware of you talking to them. You have them memorize what it feels like to be internally focused like that. And then you tell them that they can, by simply remembering this state, they can enter that state when they close their eyes with that intent. You can easily, from that point forward, fractionate it. So have them wake up and say, okay, you know what you have to do. Close your eyes and go back into that state. And you have them do this several times so they have an experience of entering that state. That can be the induction that they use. If, again, you want to train them to do this. But just as easily, I mean, I remember early on when I was being exposed, yeah, even in my teenage years when I was being exposed to hypnosis, I'd read a hypnosis book and it was all about the relaxation process. And so I'd lay down and I did it and I went out. I was just gone. So that works just as well. So again, I want to just turn back to emphasizing that it's something that they practice. That's what's going to benefit them. Does anyone have an experience of how to teach someone self-hypnosis or how you would normally do it?
Well, David, I have my thoughts, of course,
Sure.
and I imagine they'll be similar to most people here. Uh, I run the client through the process themselves and make it as simple as possible. Should I just do it rather than talk about doing it and create confusion? Do you,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, describe it. So anyone
well,
listening to this,
yeah,
will do
well,
it.
let's just do this. Jeremy, I love your enthusiasm. Would you like to unmute and play with something? Great.
Let's do it.
Okay. Uh, and you can do this. You'll know what it is, but we can do this just blind, so you don't need to tell me what the issue is. But do you have something that it may not be a real strong issue, just something you wish was a little bit better? Anything you're thinking about?
Sure.
Okay, great. Do you imagine better with your eyes open or eyes closed?
Close probably.
Okay, go ahead and take a deep breath and just close your eyes and go ahead and relax. And go ahead and think about whatever that issue is that's less than perfect. And just isolate that right in your mind. Put it in a nice little bubble. And if you turn over your right hand, palm up, go ahead and just let that bubble go right from your mind into that open hand. And at any time that you'd like to open your eyes for more clarity, feel free. But that bubble that's in your hand, as you just feel it there, you can even look at it. What color is it?
Green.
Green. Okay. Now, if you had that magic wand that would give you all of the power you could imagine to make that issue or scenario good, to where it became a positive resource, what color would that be?
Yellow.
Yellow. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to just focus on that green ball of energy and notice every breath you take in. Every breath you take in, just let it fill that ball of energy and notice how it lightens that green color. And as you exhale, now you can notice the green leaving that ball of energy being replaced with that beautiful, powerful yellow that gives you that safety and security, gives you that winning attitude to thrive. And go ahead and take all the time you need over the next few seconds to make that ball of energy completely yellow. And when you've done so, just go ahead and nod your head. All right. And now that you've got it, now it's time to do something with it. So just take that right hand with that beautiful ball of yellow energy and just press it, slam it right there into your chest, right into your heart, and let that yellow go down to your toes, up to the top of your head. And just know that you can never go back to the previous scenario. You have the resources now that you can always draw from. You've done it. And as soon as you're done basking in that glow, go ahead and come back to the room, eyes open, refreshed and wide awake. So there you go. Very simple. It's very powerful. I will tend to be more loquacious when I'm doing this with someone in person, but there's the bare bones. So how do you feel?
Feels good. I like that a lot.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping out.
That's excellent.
Thanks. Yeah. Good guinea pigging.
And
Thank
I
you.
want to point out, you can do this on yourself as well.
Right.
So once you the skill, you could apply this on yourself for really anything.
That was the part that I left off. So really in future facing, I got happy seeing you smile, but now that you do that anytime you're alone, and this really does work. This is what I've had to use on airplanes when you have that screaming little booger child next to you, and you need to get some rest. That can help you at least, you know.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. All right. Yeah, you go ahead and mute yourself. Okay, so anyone else have a question or a contribution? Yes, Alex.
Hi, all right.
Yes.
Basically, I've used similar. Most of the time, it's something like Tonglen practice. I'd have to explain. Tonglen is Tibetan Buddhism, and in practice, what you do is in Tonglen, you enter a state of meditation. You stand sort of sitting cross-legged or however you manage it. Just sitting upright in a chair will do just fine if your legs don't bend the way mine don't. So what you do is you focus on somebody's negative energy and you see it like a cloud of dark energy surrounding them. And then you just draw it in, like you're just sucking all the darkness from them. And then you absorb it. And then you transmute that to a golden color, exactly the same way as Joe just described there. There's golden color, but then you take that and it's after you filled it, so to speak, or if you filled yourself with it, you take the surplus of that energy and then you breathe it out towards the person. Now that's the Tonglen part of it. It's Buddhist prayer sort of thing for peace, healing, and wisdom and stuff like that. But you can do something similar. At least I've done something similar with friends of mine by teaching them to do that Tonglen to themselves, to take, to visualize their darkness surrounding them like a cloud instead of the green ball, and then to sort of focus on transmuting it from the inside, a bit like a Buddhist exercise. I tell them stuff about chakras and stuff like that, whatever gets them going, whatever model works for them. And in that model, they transmute that darkness into a golden light. So they don't need to do that breathing out aspect of the Tonglen, but that's how I've phrased it in sort of Buddhist terms with people who are more used to a sort of mystical sort of bent rather than something that's plain and rooted in material, material and the tangible, basically. Instead of a Western paradigm, I've gone sort of Eastern to them, hence the Malabeads, as it were. So I do that. So it's just that I used a different paradigm, but all it is, it's like different color paint on the car. It's still a car. It's still the process.
Yeah, it works perfectly. Thank you, Alex. That was great. All right. This has been very good. Anyone else have a contribution or question?
Yeah.
Yes. Graham and Peter's next.
Yep. It's if anyone's thinking about, this is going to be an interesting avenue of study to have a bit more research on it. A good starting point I found is that classic by Emile Coué, Auto-Suggestion, who Coué has a few people probably know is one of the sort of like pioneers of self-hypnosis, where some of the work that he did in the early part of the 20th century. I found it a very good read just as a basic primer to build upon, and then you can branch out from there to your own chosen method.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good resource.
How do I spell Emile Coué?
EMILCOUE, if I remember correctly, because I haven't got the book to hand, or have I? Hang on.
That helps. I was not going to spell it like that.
I don't think I've got it to hand at the moment on my shelf.
Oh yeah, we can find that. It was called auto suggestion, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Peter, you also raised your hand.
Yeah, one of the methods that I've used and rather successfully is I'm a Reiki practitioner, and that was one of the things that we've learned from the very beginning, especially when you get into the being Reiki level 3, which is considered mastery, but I don't think it's mastery, is to visualize a ball of white light between your hands. And what I've done is I've had one of my subjects visualize a ball of white light between their hands and then visualize their end goal. And then in Reiki, what we then do is we have them expand the ball and then just place it over themselves and feel themselves being absorbed into the ball. And it's just that simple.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, and a thing I want to emphasize is it's not so important that they know how to do it. It's more important they actually do it. So if you can twist the urgency or the importance of the practice, and again, what does it take? It takes attention. It doesn't even take time they don't have, because they'll be doing it maybe at the end of the day or on a break. It just takes attention. So that would be the biggest emphasis I'd give here. Okay. Yeah, Jeremy, another question.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, or have you, if you could repeat what the meditation teacher said. I love that. It was the meditation you should do is the one you could do every day. Is that
That's it. Yeah.
that's so good. I love that.
What's the most important meditation I should do? Just one every day. That's it.
That's good.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any suggestions or recommendations as topics we could use? If not, I'm sure we will find another topic, and we have so far. But if you want to email me one, if you want to suggest it in the chat, that's fine. If you want to raise your hand, that'll be great too. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up, and I like to remind people that because you're here, you're not somewhere else. So you sacrificed to be here, and that is a kind and generous sacrifice. I deeply respect it, and it was very generous of you guys doing that. Joe, it's in your hands.
Okay, guys, thank you. I really appreciate today. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your contributions. I think it just makes it creates the best product. So I look forward to seeing you next week as well. Again, questions, comments, please email David. And I guess the only thing that's left is have a wonderful weekend. And I thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for putting this on. It's greatly appreciated.
Thanks very
1,000
much.
blessings, guys.
Have a
Please
good one,
take care.
guys.
Great week, everybody.
Thank you,
Alex.
David. Joe.
Keenan, you made it. I'm glad to see you. So,
Take care.
Peter, thanks again.
All right.
And thanks again for talking to my friend.
You bet. Absolutely.
Take care.
All right. All right.